Yo, what's up, everybody? So, there's a big announcement for old school RuneScape. We're getting a new skill. So, we haven't had the opportunity to train something new in over 10 years since this game is launched. So, needless to say, I'm excited, and it should go without saying for the rest of this video that I did vote yes to a new skill being added. So, this is not me being against any of these skills. This is just me simply dissecting them and my opinion on how they would influence the current game. So, I know a lot of players are not very high on the taming skill. Um, I think it has some serious potential, even though it is eerily similar to summoning. I know they distinctively said that it's not summoning, but having a follower is the basis for summoning. So, my biggest concern with this skill is obviously power creep. I'm sure that's many players' biggest concern with this skill, as we don't want pack yaks to be an old school RuneScape with the way bosses are designed and how fast they can be killed already. That would just kind of crash the economy because things would be so easy to kill. You could stay there the whole time. RuneScape 3, case in point. I played RuneScape 3 for about like 3 years after Evolution to Combat was released. So I did dabble in the new skills there. But taming, it's not going to be trained like summoning. It looked like pet agility from what they showed on stream, but I think that they could really open up some avenues for this skill that would be more appealing to players. So first off, my recommendation would be a taming based mini game where players would have to use their followers or companions to essentially complete a task, like Wintertod or Temperos or Guardians of the Rift, as I'm currently doing. I think this would create some community engagement that is nice to see at these mini games. Everybody's always talking. There's always something going on, so maybe that with the new skill would be important to incorporate if we're trying to bring the community back together. So another off the top of my head idea I do have for the taming skill is that these pets could help you with skills during the game, especially gathering skills. Skills like hunter, if you could take the stray dog from Varrock and then you bring that with you on a Chinchompa hunt and you're suddenly increasing your Chinchompas per hour by like 50 or something. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but giving some sort of boost and incentive to use these companions and sort of passively train them, even though it might not be the fastest method, I think could be something that would be useful for this skill. Or maybe in the woodcutting skill, you could use a beaver and you would get more logs per hour. Or in the fishing skill, you had a dolphin companion or something along those lines and you're getting more fish per hour. The possibilities are really endless, and I think as a community, we kind of need to get over the fact that the skill isn't going to be perfect, especially upon release. There's going to be a lot of things they need to iron out, but the game really does need a new skill. So next up on the list, we've got sailing. And sailing is pretty intriguing to me because it almost feels like dungeoneering from RuneScape 3, which I was a huge fan of, although I know it's not going to be very combat based, but it will be including combat, if that makes sense. So the way they proposed it right now, it's like, oh, you could be hired to go move product from one end of the ocean to the other, essentially. And I think that's pretty lame. Like, you would encounter stuff along the way, and I really don't think the whole you are the boat and you don't get experience for actually traversing the sea. And they were talking about potentially changing up the point and click gameplay to WASD for sailing, and I am very strongly against this. It is a point and click game. If we really need to include traversing the sea like that, then it should be point and click, or it should be an interface where you have to click different buttons to get across the sea, something like that. It would be completely terrible, in my opinion, to have to do that to train the skill, but whatever they have in mind, I just hope it's more combat based than doing sea agility or deliveries. Uh, I just really think there would be more potential if there was rare islands that you like, basically like a drop. It's like 1 in 2,500 rate to get like a rare item from a boss or something, like an extremely rare item. Like you could find an island like that that's littered with rune rocks or something like that. They could have all these different seeds for islands, and they wouldn't have to be in the main game. They could be instant, so it would like be pretty cool. They could use a generator to generate that stuff. I don't know how that would be for the servers, how they would handle that. But I think that would be cool if it was like RNG based, like what island you're about to sail to. I don't know, something like that. But if it's somewhat similar to like the dungeoneering, like do it in a team type thing, I think I would be more on board with that. No pun intended. But for me, sailing is just kind of the default option when they say they want to add a skill, and I can't say that I'm happy with where it's at right now, but I'd say that it fits best into our current game system. And finally, we've got shamanism. So shamanism is kind of the most abstract skill concept that has ever been proposed to be added to this game. It almost sounds like something out of RuneScape 3, which I'm not sure is a great thing, but I think it could have been proposed a little bit better in the video that they dropped. The spirit realm and the normal realm of Gillinor. Let's start there. So the spirit realm is essentially where you would be going to use this skill. It's like a utility skill. So you would find things as you're doing other skills in order to train this skill, and they were proposing that it wouldn't be a buyable, essentially. And I don't know how I really feel about it. I like the idea of like performing rituals and it gives you like certain boosts or whatever. But the thing that really turned me off from shamanism, which could get fleshed out in the next iteration. So this is not like a make it or break it deal right now, but I didn't like the fact that you could augment items and weapons and armor. That was a pitch. So maybe for like skill equipment, but I don't like the idea of essentially having like enchantments and different variations on base gear when this is such a black and white game and has been for so long. I think that's way too RuneScape 3 to be added into this game. Like even I just don't know how it would work. It seems like it would just complicate things. Like there's already so many items that are consumable or degradable, or you have to charge them or whatever. Just imagine like having all these different forms of gear and you have no idea what anyone's going to wear, on top of the fact that Jagex has already mentioned if they would be able to add cosmetic shit into the game, which I have a problem with because in RuneScape 3 you have no idea what anyone is wearing on their character. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on the skill. I think that it's a really great like basis for expanding and fleshing out, as they say, and basically creating the framework for what this is going to be, because I think it has potential to be a good skill. I'm just not very keen on the idea of having to go collect stuff through other skills to train shamanism. So that's my whole thing. I think it's like way too unrelated to everything else, and if it's something that you have to go train everything else to progress, that's just another slow skill that people are going to be upset with, and they're going to have to eventually like release a mini game. But like, of course, mini games work for all three of these skills. I know I didn't talk about it in sailing, but shamanism, like, I already have a great idea for a mini game. You could be doing a huge group rituals or a bunch of mini rituals inside a cavern or something, and then it leads you to the final boss, and then it's like combat and mix of shamanism. Like, you could do stuff like that. You could build off of the Arceus spellbook potentially. I don't know how that spellbook really is. I only use it for the Ensouled Heads. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on Shamanism right there. So I know I know it's still very early on in the process of coming up with everything for these skills, but I really think that there's good potential in all three. Just a little bit worried about power creep and taming, and then sailing. It just sounds boring right now. I hate to say it, but it just sounds boring. And then with shamanism, it just sounds like it needs some major refinement and kind of a sense of direction for where they want to go with the skill, because it's pretty abstract still, and I think they need to do a better job of putting it into tangibles, which they will do. But this is just my opinions. Just wanted to spark the brains of some other fellow RuneScapers. You guys probably know the game better than I do and how these would fit in, but I played this game for, I don't know, long ass time now. So, yeah, my 2 cents. I hope you guys enjoyed this Scape and listen, and hopefully we can get some more along the way. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.